So welcome back to my channel. This is Gamer Dom, and by popular request we're going to do a top 5. Well, we're not really going to do a top 5, but we're going to look at what are the best performing artillery in the game. Now, all you arty haters, don't fear, I'm not going to run through every one from 5, 6, 7, whatever tiers, and look at them in reverse order as I normally do. What I'm going to do is a slightly different format. Somebody suggested actually doing it this way, and I think it makes perfect sense, so thank you whoever that was. I'm going to look at the top 3 at tier 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10, and just give you an idea of what are the most effective artillery in the game right now. Also intersperse it with a couple of games probably from different tiers, just so you can get some excitement. Well, actually probably just one game of the top, the best of the bunch, shall we say, in terms of artillery. Anyway, so how am I going to do it? Well, I'm going to be using vbaddicts website, who, as you know, look at the stats of players from across all the different servers, even the Chinese one, I believe, for the last 30 days. So it compiles all the data, number crunches everything, and gives us all sorts of interesting data on performance of tanks, performance of maps, blah 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 blah. So I'm looking at average experience for artillery from 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10 tiers. I'm using total experience because I think that's a good measure of a combination of actual damage and stun values, and yeah, sort of how basically reflects better how artillery plays. So enough kerfuffle, let's get going. Okay, so let's start at tier 6. So the number 3, there are actually only 5 tier 6 artillery in the game right now, and number 6 is this thing. This is the Russian Su-8, 19,421 games, 280.96 average damage per game. And then at number 2 we have the Frenchie, the AMX-13 F3AM. This is, as I say, tier 6, very mobile little artillery, 36,761 games, and pretty good, 298.04 average experience per game. So yeah, pretty tasty. That's number 2. So that means that number 1, according to vbaddicts, for average experience across all servers in the last 30 days is America. Huh. This is the M44, the American tier 6 artillery. Whopping, probably the most played at tier 6, well, not probably, it is the most played tier 6 artillery, 117,229 games in the last 30 days, and averaging a very impressive 316.55 average damage, average experience per game. It's got a bit of a, well, all the stats I've been showing you, all the tanks I've been showing you, are fully upgraded, but this thing, top upgrade, has the 155mm howitzer, 3 rounds per minute, a maximum damage per minute of 1600 with 100% crew, average damage 550, but penetration only 39 since all the nerfs, but a nice stun duration of 6.76 to 10.4, and dispersion of 0.72 is pretty horrible. Aim time of 4.9, but aim time doesn't really matter so much for artillery usually. So a fairly mobile artillery, gets around the battlefield pretty well, only 30 tons, what's that, power ratio of specific power of just shy of 19, which is pretty good. That's medium speed, well, sort of heavy, medium heavy, heavy medium kind of speed, and a 56 top speed, so moves pretty well, which means it can get out of trouble pretty well. So that's your top average experience earning tier 6 artillery. So then moving up to tier 7, looking at average experience earned by artillery, we have the Frenchie again. This is the Lorraine 155 1050. This is number 3, 36,895 games, 332.93 average experience per game. It's again very mobile artillery, fairly flat firing, unlike some of the other artillery, so it's actually pretty good at direct fire as well, but really it's the mobility that works for this thing. 155mm gun, as the name would suggest. 700 average damage, and not so good dispersion or stun radius. Not really its thing. But look at that, 60 top speed and 23.35 power ratio means this thing is very, very mobile. So that's number 3. So number 2, back to the Americans. This is the M12 Tier 7 American artillery. Comes in with 63,691 games, 339.22 average experience per game. I used to love this tank, this artillery. In fact, I only recently got rid of it when I moved up to Tier 9 and used the crew on that one, but very effective Tier 7 artillery, if I say so myself. Features a really nice, again, 155mm gun. 39 penetration is nothing to speak of, but 700 average damage is useful, and the stun effect on this thing is very good, 12.65 to 23 seconds. So very nice indeed, and fairly mobile as well. So good artillery at number 2. So that means the best performing artillery at Tier 7 right now, according to vbaddicts, is the GW Panther, the German Tier 7 artillery. I was a bit surprised by this. I've never found this particularly effective, but a lot of people playing it. Again, very, very popular. 100,000 games, more than 100,000 games. 347.72 average experience per game is pretty pokey. I always found it pretty cumbersome, but it's got a big ass gun on it, and I suppose that's why people love it. 15cm gun, 2.3 round a minute, 39 penetration, 680 average damage, so less than the American. Stun is 10.8 to 18 seconds, so again, not particularly great, but it's used a lot and it's very popular, and there it is, number 1 at Tier 7. So moving on to Tier 8, we have coming in at number 3 the British artillery, the FV207, artillery I've just unlocked myself and actually really enjoying a great deal, although annoyingly you have to put in an extra gunner, which is freaking annoying, from the previous tier, which is yeah, extra gunners. You have 2 gunners, don't know why you need that. It's not even that particularly big a gun. 25,394 games in the last 30 days, averaging 352.98 average damage per game. It's got a smaller gun than most, 6-inch howitzer gun, 2 rounds per minute, 38 penetration, 700 average damage, 1400 damage per minute, 13.75 to 25 second stun duration. So yeah, it's a weird one because it's not particularly spectacular in any department, but still pretty effective. So that's number 3. So this will surprise a few. Coming in at number 2 for the most effective Tier 8 artillery in the game right now is the Russian one, the Su-14-2. I know at least one player who would say that this thing is by far the best of all the tiers. I'm thinking about you, shoot. So Tier 8 Russian artillery, what's so good about it? 30,000 games, 30,479 games. 372.59 average experience per game. It's a brute, frankly. It's a 203mm gun as its top gun, giving out a whopping 1,050 average damage and a 52 penetration, which is not bad really. But the stun mechanics are also very good, a very wide stun effect, ranging from 14 seconds to 28 seconds in duration, so very, very tasty. This one is very tasty indeed. It's very slow, it's very bulky, but it's got a big ass gun, and that's why we love it. So this is the top average experience earning artillery at Tier 8 right now, and I was a bit surprised. It's the American M40 M43. I think I like this for artillery very much. I thought the Russian one would come tops, but this thing beats it, not by a huge amount, but still beats it. So 82,856 games in the last 30 days, 384.08 average experience per game. Very very, again, fairly mobile artillery. This thing will do 38 miles kph, sorry, 13 power ratio, so it can get around reasonably well. The gun isn't awesome. It's an 8-inch howitzer on it, 52 penetration, 1050 average damage, and 14 to 28 seconds stun, and a pretty good stun radius. So yeah, I mean, they used to call this back in the day the one shot, because that's what it did. Of course, now with the changes to artillery, it doesn't tend to one shot as often, if at all. But still, if you hit someone open topped with and you get a good hit, good roll with 1,000 hit points of damage potential, this thing will make people very, very unhappy and call you all kinds of names. So this is number 1 in terms of tier 8 artillery right now. Okay, so time for a bit of gameplay. This is the real twist driving the tier 10 British artillery, the Conqueror gun carriage. This is the, what do they call it, the orbital gunship they call it, or the yeah, space station, whatever it is. It's a big ass gun on a British artillery, and renowned in the past for being, you know, just obliterating anything it hit. Of course, now with the meta changed and the fact artillery only really stun and don't tend to one shot anything, it's not quite as effective as it once was, but still a very, very useful piece of arty. He's here on cliffs. It is a tier 10 game, all tier 10, and he's got a Death Star in his sights. Just splashed him. Only splashed him. 584 damage. This thing has a massive blast circle. Absolutely massive blast circle. And very, very effective HE shell. So, first shell. Takes a while to reload. That's the only problem. The reload on this thing is pretty slow. He's aiming back up into the middle. What's interesting to me is that he's not using the sort of flat view. He's looking straight from above, traditional arty view. He's got that Death Star in his sights again, and again doesn't. I think that landed behind the Death Star and did 536 again. So over 1,000 damage to the Death Star. Well, it's a different Death Star, to be fair, but still a Death Star and still hitting it. Here we go. Gone into the traditional, well, sort of the new look. This used to be called Battle Assistant, I think it was called, but now it's part of the mods in the game. Aiming up a mouse. Come on, mousey. Now, trying to land. Is he trying to land between the two of them? It looked like he might be. Oof. Gets a lovely shot on the side of the mouse's turret. See, over 30-second reload. He's not moving, he's not relocating, which is a bit risky. There are 2 enemy artillery in this matchup against him. One of them is actually pretty useful. However, he's not redeploying after he's fired, and that's kind of sometimes a bit of a risky thing not to do. Still, he's having fun. Lining up the Type 5 Heavy. Is he still going to be there when he reloads? Oh, there's a mouse still there. He could get both of them here. Go for a bombardier mess. Oh, didn't. The shell went long. However, that impact on the mouse, or that kill on the mouse, will be attributed to him for the stun value. So that is good. Right. Aiming back up onto the hill. His team are doing pretty well, 3-0. And when you're in artillery, you need a bit of help from your team. You can't do it alone. Much as they love to claim and scream at you if you get it wrong, and in fact you're not in the right place and you're not helping them out. Reality is, artillery needs support, they need backup, and you can't just expect them to carry a game on their own. That was a cheap kill. The one bad thing I think he did in this game is a bit of a cheap kill there, going for the Death Star on 70 odd health. That shell would have cost him an absolute fortune to take down that guy. Lining up the Type 5 Heavy. He does run consumables on this, so he's got tea and, what is it, tea and cake or whatever it is, the British consumable, which helps with, you know, aim time, helps with reload time, all that Type 5 side on. Nice. 212 hit on that. In the past that would have been probably 700 hit. But nowadays that's a good hit when you're hitting something as heavily armoured as this. He's got his sight on that Death Star that he hit right at the beginning. Death Star's pulling back. Will he get a chance to fire before he does? Yeah, it's in the air. 423. So the Death Star's got very thin armour, really, especially on the side of it. And those shells are doing a lot of damage. Probably knocking out modules, probably doing all kinds of other bonus hits. So he's done, what is it, 2,244 damage so far that we're aware of. Maybe a bit of extra splash somewhere. This pattern is getting rather excited, and he's going side on to us. Can we make him play? Pay? Play? Pay. Pay to play. Freudian slip there. Shell in the air. Ooh, unlucky. 368. And also criticaled him. Probably blew his tracks off, I should imagine. That's intriguing. That must be a bug on this replay. If you notice, he had the green go light there to fire, even though he wasn't loaded. Momentarily threw me out. However, the enemy team is coming back. It is 6-all. Trying to clear some deadwood out. Going for the Brigettos out there on the flank. Good splash hit should kill that guy. Oh, just left him on 70 health. Whoa, that's just unfortunate. Even with the massive splash damage that the Conqueror has, that was very unfortunate not to kill him. Brigetto says I've had enough of this, and he's off. Don't blame him at all. This is one of the things that makes me laugh about people moaning about artillery. It's like, if you're under fire, move. Because you know that he's looking at you. A number of people get hit once and then just carry on staying exactly where they were. Then they get hit again and then they just rant and rave. And you think, well, who's the fool? Who moved? Not the arty, that's for sure. 346 on the rear of that object 140. Lovely lead on that shot. Really nicely done. Still would like to hit that FE. Well, no need to. Somebody else has taken him down. Suddenly the game's turned around. It's 9 plays 6. This is what this arty is really good at. It's just good at consistently punching out large amounts of damage. The splash values are very good. The actual ammo, HE damage is very high as well. That's unfortunate. He was notifying them that he was going for it, but nobody pays attention to artillery. Another cheap kill coming up. This one's probably worthwhile because there's not an awful lot left, and he needs to get rid of that light tank. Okay, there's a ship barn. Ship barn coming round. He's keeping the team informed of how long he's got, and the other RT just absolutely obliterated the ship barn. Direct shell, I would imagine, penetrating on the turret, which only has something like 40mm of armour. So a big shell like that would have gone straight through and absolutely obliterated. So even though one shots are pretty much out of the game, that kind of thing will be. Now he's aiming for where the artillery is likely to be. You can see his own Death Star is moving up towards them, notifying everybody that's where he's aiming. And there is the enemy arty, shot in the air now. Somebody else hit him, but he gets the cheap kill. 3,285 damage we're aware of, and 3 kills. There's only one left. Enemy artillery. Notice even for this Conqueror, that's a very, very long way. He's actually almost out of fire range. There we go. There's the last guy, and he is toast. And that was it. Easy as they come. Conqueror gunship in action. So there you go. Got his ace tanker with that one. He got bruiser. He also got Confederate badge, which I always like. Means you've been helping out helping out your team by spreading your love and damage around the enemy team. He finished top of his team. Let me just put that in the correct order. There we go. Top of his team, 3,285 damage, 3 kills, 1155 base XP. Fired 12 shots, hit with 6 of them and did damage with 6. Also got 9 lots of splash. That's what this thing is really, really good for. 3,651 assistance damage, so that's blowing tracks off and stunning vehicles and so forth. 73,000 credits, didn't use any premium, didn't need to, so made a profit of 53.5 with a premium account. Would have made 19,000 without, and 1733 XP would have been 1155 without. So there you go, that's the Conqueror doing its thing on the cliff. Okay, so let's move on to tier 9 and our search for the most effective artillery in the game right now. This is the GW Tiger, the tier 9 German artillery. Comes in at number 3, 43,192 games, 362.29 average experience per game. I'm struggling with the tier 8 myself, so I'm dreading getting to this thing, but it obviously is reasonably effective. Has a big ass gun, 21 centimeter gun, 53 penetration, 1100 average damage. Stun radius and duration is very impressive, 13.95 stun minimum to 31 seconds, so very, very good. But it's a lumbering beast. It's very slow and very big, so it gets spotted very, very easily. But that is number 3. So number 2 at tier 9 is the American M53 M55 artillery. I love this thing. I thought this would be tops. A lot of people playing it. 108,566 games, 374.69 average experience per game. I haven't unlocked all the guns yet on this. The top gun is an 8-inch howitzer, 52 penetration, 1050 average damage, a very nice 14 to 28 second stun, and a very good stun radius of what's that, so 1290 meters. Wow, that's big. So this thing and it gets around really, really well. That's one of the things I do like about this thing. 26 traverse, 56 top speed, 17.73 power ratio, so it's mobile. It's even got a little bit of a turret, and it's got a big gun. What's not to like? That's your number 2. So at number 1, we're back to the Ruskies. This is the 212A. This is the tier 9 Russian. It is, for me, I hated this tank. Absolutely hated it, but other people seem to love it. So whatever. It is 26,978 games played in it in the last 30 days, according to vbaddicts, and a nice 376.89 average experience per game. So only 2 more than the American. So I guess on any given week, this thing probably would swap places, be first or second at any stage. Comes with a very good 203mm gun, which is the same as the tier 8 has, but basically better. 52mm penetration, 1050 average damage. Stun is 14 to 28 seconds, and the radius is 1263, which is very, very big indeed. So big boomstick, again, pretty slow movement, slightly better mobility than the previous tank, but still not the best at getting around, and very, very big to get spotted, but a very effective TD according to the stats, so the stats don't lie. That's your number 1 at tier 9. Which means we move on to the big mamas. This is the tier 10 artillery section. So these are the most effective tier 10 artillery in the game right now, according to vbaddicts, if you rate them on average experience per game. So number 3 is the German, the GW E100, this monster tank. 37,296 games, 365.07 average damage per game. Big ass guns. I mean, they've all got big ass guns. 21 centimeter gun, 1.5 rate of fire, 53 penetration, 1100 average damage, 13.95 to 31 average stun duration, and massive dispersion on that thing. So big, brutal, and not very hidey. That makes sense. That's your number 3 at tier 10. So at number 2, according to vbaddicts for average experience for tier 10 artillery right now, we have the Russian, the Object 263, the only one of the tier 10s I've got myself, and I quite enjoy it. Big challenge with this thing, not very many rounds, only 18 rounds, and so in a prolonged engagement you'll find yourself running out of shells in this thing, but pretty accurate for a artillery piece. 28,674 games, 371.22 average experience per game. One of the smaller guns, I guess. I mean, 180mm gun, 45 penetration, only 900 damage, and stun radius 13.05 to 29 seconds. But rate of fire is 1.88, so it spits the shells out pretty well, and dispersion is only 0.59, which for artillery is very good. It's also fairly mobile, as artillery gets around 50 top speed, 17.56 specific power ratio, so acceleration. So very effective, limited shells, pretty accurate gun. That's the Russian. So number 1, the most effective artillery at tier 10 right now in the game is the orbital gunship. This is the British Conqueror gun carriage. This thing is just a brute. Although for those of us who remember artillery before they were nerfed and turned into stun vehicles, this thing was much more fearsome. When it hit you, you went straight back to the garage, basically. It was a monster thing. Now it's slow moving, slow firing, but boy does it have a big arse gun and very big effect in terms of stun and so forth. So oops, let me get that up again. 1.3 rate of fire. It's a 9.2 inch howitzer, 59 penetration, 1,200 average damage, 14.85 to 33 stun duration. Really good. Can I see what the oops, just see what this, if it tells me what the stun radius is? No, I can't see it. Anyway, very big is what I would say. Monster gun, and when you get hit, even with the nerfed artillery that it is now, you know all about it. Every other category it's fairly nondescript. 25,383 games, 384.80 average experience per game. And so that is it. That is your top experience earning artillery at tier 10 right now. So I hope you found that interesting and useful to you, and particularly you RT lovers out there. I know there'll be a lot of haters, but RT are in the game, so we'll keep talking about them. So that is your top 3 average experience earning artillery from tier 6 up to tier 10, plus a bit of bonus gameplay. I hope you found it useful and interesting. If you did, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. In the meantime, enjoy your games, have fun, try not to take it too seriously, and I'll see you again soon. This is Gamer Dom signing out.